welcoming you to the JIQS's Luncheon. My name is Shardon Hay. I'm a council member, and today I'll be the moderator for this luncheon. The JIQS will be celebrating 60 years of existence this year. To celebrate this auspicious occasion, we have intended to spend the entire year marking this milestone that we have accomplished. Now, as I'm sure most of you here are all aware, we held a press conference in the latter part of last year to treat it what we felt was perhaps the most important issue affecting our profession and our industry at large, and that is a matter of registration of quantity surveyors. And we felt it most important to take the opportunity to have a luncheon today to continue the discussion on this matter. So that's the primary purpose of this luncheon, and in fact, our guest speaker today will be addressing us on this matter. As you can see from our luncheon's title, it's Advancement through Integration. The integration, of course, being the Quantity Surveyors Registration Act to allow us to be properly registered as building professionals. At this point in time, I'd like to introduce our president, Mr. JIQS, and he'll be coming to give you an address on behalf of the JIQS Council.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this, our first event of the year 2019. Now, as our moderator indicated, this year is a special year for the Jamaican Institute of Quantity Surveyors, since 2019 marks the 60th year since the formation of the Institute. Now, history tells us that during the 1950s, the construction industry in Jamaica had been expanding, and so did the need for the quantity surveying profession. And therefore, at that time, it was timely for the formation of the Jamaican Institute of Quantity Surveyors, and then we were known as the Jamaican Society of Quantity Surveyors, and we were founded in 1959. Now, over all these years, the JIQS has made significant contributions to the construction industry. We are members of the Construction Industry Council, and we have been carrying our mandate, our important mandate, of self-regulating the profession of quantity surveying over all these years. Now, we will be having several events to mark this anniversary year, and information regarding these events will be made available once they become reality. This year, our institute will be embarking on strengthening our internal processes, which includes, but is not limited to, publishing our updated CPD guidelines, hosting relevant CPD events, publishing various articles and newsletters, and we will be seeking to introduce the implementation of our practicing certificate, which we have been mooting for some time now. Now, this afternoon, we are gathered together for this luncheon with the theme Advancement through Integration, which encourages the coming together and joint action by various stakeholder groups in Jamaica, which includes the government, the construction industry, civil society, in an effort to underscore the importance of legislation to govern the quantity surveying profession. Whilst self-regulation is good, there comes a point where government legislation becomes necessary to safeguard the profession as well as the general public from persons who seek to and have been providing quantity surveying services without the requisite qualification and experience. The advancement of the Quantity Surveyors Registration Act is even more critical now, given the fact that the current Building Act does not properly recognize quantity surveyors. Once this legislation, which is the Quantity Surveyors Registration Act, is passed, however, quantity surveyors will then be properly recognized under the Building Act. Towards the latter part of 2018, we have been having dialogue with the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, as well as the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development, and the feedback we have received so far is encouraging. We trust, however, that the dialogue will not stop, there won't be any delay, but we will continue, and these partnerships which we are developing will lead to the successful advancement and subsequent passing of the Quantity Surveyors Registration Act in very short order. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you, and I hope that you'll enjoy the rest of the afternoon's proceedings.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been given this honorable task of introducing the guest speaker, who by no measure needs an introduction. Mr. Carlton Earl Samuels has more letters behind his name than in his name. CD, JP, FCA, FCCA, MBA. I'll probably have to ask him to come up here and help me to interpret them. Carlton Earl Samuels has a distinguished career in the field of financial accounting and general management. As financial manager and consultant, he has worked in several private and statutory organizations. He is currently Group Chief Development Financing Officer with the Jamaican National Group. A chartered accountant by profession, he is a fellow of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants in the UK, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Jamaica. He's a past student of Cornell College. For a minute there, I thought he was from Woolman's. After all that. A graduate of the College of Arts, Science and Technology, now University of Technology, the Chapman's Graduate School, Florida International University, and Wharton Real Estate Business School, the University of Pennsylvania. Mr. Samuels started his career as an auditor at KPMG Pete Marrick, thereafter moved to the National Sugar Company as business manager for several sugar factories. In February 1992, he joined the National Housing Trust, a consultant, finance project coordinator. He thereafter appointed senior director of finance in January 1994, acting manager director in February 1997, and in January 1998, he was appointed managing director. He served as managing director for the NHT for 12 years until March 2010. Under his leadership, he implemented several major projects. As an example, delivery of numerous housing project solutions island-wide, establishment of the Emancipation Park, we all know that, construction of a multi-story car park, and many others. In addition to these operational achievements, NHG received several awards for public sector leadership under his leadership. Just before I came here, he warned me not to say too much. So I think his many accolades serves him as extremely highly qualified to speak on just about any topic in the financial arena. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow corner surveyor, help me welcome to the podium Mr. Carlton Earl Samuels, our guest speaker.
It's really my pleasure to be here. I feel like I'm among families and friends, seeing a lot of familiar faces. And to ensure that I do not feel lonely, my friend Donald Moore from NHT and his team make sure they're here. So although he's not a member of JIQS, thank you for coming to give me the support, Donald. On behalf of the Jamaican National Group, before I get into that, I must also recognize two ladies who accompanied me this afternoon. I want to make sure that I am well taken care of. And I've also invited them to let you see the faces that you will interact with as you do business with us at Jamaican National Bank. On behalf of the JN Group, it is my pleasure to congratulate the Jamaican Institute of Quantity Surveyors for hosting this luncheon, and for almost 6 decades of distinguished service to the construction and development sector in Jamaica. The JIQS and its members must therefore be commended for working to create awareness about the role of the quantity surveyor. And you do this through regular seminars, your annual Quantity Survey Awareness Week, your visits to schools, your support, the Quantity Surveyor Diploma and now degree program at the University of Technology. And as I learned earlier, you not only support the program, but you also provide scholarships to students. And I think this is most commendable. Your institute also encourages continued professional development as you strive to ensure that only qualified persons are eligible to provide quantity surveying services. And this is done in order to protect the industry and your clients. And it is very important. It is for these reasons and others why you have my 100% support. In all my interactions with quantity surveyors and the work of the JIQS, I've always been impressed by the standard of conduct and the high level of professionalism and excellence displayed by the members. I have found quantity surveyors to be efficient as they seek to achieve the best results with their available resources. As a part of the construction industry and professionals, your teamwork and accountability are also critical values that you display as members of the profession. As members of the profession, you're involved in all stages of a project, from managing costs, contracts, and ensuring high standards of integrity. And the slideshow that we saw before, I see the members are very passionate about the high standards of service that you provide to the construction sector. And my good friend, Mr. Whiteley, around the back, we were sharing another platform after your press conference, and he was very eloquent and very strong in putting forward his views about the role of the quantity surveyor in the construction sector in Jamaica. Let me share with you a story of the CEO of JIQS Private Limited, a man called Milan De Silva, a former Sri Lankan chef who moved to the Middle East in 1991 in search of opportunities. He realized that he could not, there was no much opportunity for him as a chef, so he took several courses and he became a quantity surveyor. For more than 20 years, he was apprenticed to a quantity surveying firm before completing his bachelor's degree in quantity surveying and construction management with a UK university, and he completed this program with honors. Through faith, determination, initiative, hard work, and confidence, Milan took a risk and founded JIQS Private Limited, a quantity surveying consulting firm, and he founded this in 2008. Today, JIQS is one of the largest and best quantity surveying firms in the Gulf region. And JIQS achieved this distinction by differentiating its firm in the industry through several essential drivers. They were open to changes, and as a profession, you can only survive and grow and attain and maintain the recognition which you deserve if you're willing to change and to embrace changes. And this can be done through the adoption of new technologies and so on. It's no longer the days, and you're well aware of it because I've interacted with members of your profession, and I see from the quality of the output that it's not a pencil and paper thing anymore. As a matter of fact, I said to a developer not too long ago who presented some certificates for payment. And when I looked at it, I said, but this is not presented in the way that is normally done by members of the profession. And his response to me, well, he said, The man is still pencil and paper. I say, well, I think you're with the wrong firm. So, but I'm confident that members of the JIQS are well aware of the changes that are necessary in order to remain current and to deliver service of the highest quality to members. The relationship is also very important. Therefore, your client's needs must always be understood, and you must always strive to meet your client's expectation. You should at all times deliver value for money, excellence in your delivery of service, and continue monitoring and analyzing your operations to improve the efficiency in delivering the services. These were some of the characteristics of the Milquist firm, why they became so outstanding. And I will just tell you some of their achievements. Milan, the CEO, is a fellow of the UK, Australia, and South African Institute of Chartered Surveyors, as well as a fellow of the Chartered Management Institute of the UK. Milquist is the only construction consultancy in Sri Lanka and Oman that is regulated by the prestigious Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors in the UK. And the firm also achieved the ISO 9001-2015 certification. The firm also, as a result of its outstanding performance and recognition for quality work, it was awarded a contract to oversee the construction of the Muscat and Salalah International Airport. And this was a $100 million contract. This firm employs 70 highly trained staff members, and as a result of that, they are able to make significant contribution to the Sri Lankan economy. Ladies and gentlemen, I relate this story because I was struck by how this determined former Sri Lankan chef decided to start a business outside of his homeland, and his willingness to adapt to change and recognizing the importance of quality service, which was used to transform his business and give him the recognition that he deserved. As you drive around the countryside in Jamaica, it is evident that there is a surge in the construction sector with numerous residential and commercial projects along with infrastructural work. And you need not go to the countryside, just right here in the corporate area. They provide employment opportunities for thousands of Jamaicans. The Planning Institute of Jamaica, in its review of the economic performance for the period July to September 2018, said that the construction industry was estimated to grow by 3%. I haven't seen the outcome since then. That was a projection, but I'm sure it grew more than 3%. And that cement supply, one of the key inputs for building construction, increased by 15.8% during the period. The PIOJ review also recorded that the National Works Agencies, the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, and the National Water Commission disbursed more than $10 billion in civil engineering projects during that period. New housing developments, the expansion and renovation of several resort hotels and commercial projects added to the growth in the sector. In addition, the PIOJ noted that the construction industry includes more than 500 businesses, which employs approximately 100,000 persons, and estimated that the new sector contributes about 7.2% to the country's GDP, the country's gross domestic product. At the Jamaican National Group, we value our relationship with members of the construction industry. In particular, we rely heavily on the work of the quantity surveyor. The buildings and homes which are being developed often require development financing and mortgages from JN and other financial institutions. This, as you are well aware, although we have been converted to becoming JN Bank, mortgage and development financing is our core business. Therefore, it is very important that we maintain a relationship with the professionals in the construction and development sector. The JN Development Financing Unit, which I lead, finance projects for residential, commercial construction, and land development. For a financial institution, the role of the professional quantity surveyor is extremely critical. The QS not only represents the customer, but also represents the lender, as we cannot disburse funds without the quantity surveyor's certificate of the value of work done. We require the QS estimates to determine the level of funding. Also, when we are approached for funding by any developer or private homeowner, we are guided by the estimates provided by the quantity surveyor. And also during the construction process, we also require certification of work completed and that the funds disbursed have been expended for the intended purpose. The quantity surveyor is involved from the concept stage, and you're well aware of that, planning to ensure that all elements of the project are properly costed. You're also critical during the implementation, ensuring that costs are properly allocated, and post-implementation to verify the value of work completed. Financial institutions rely heavily on your services for their mortgage program, their residential and commercial program, and even in certain requests for refurbishing. We rely on your cost estimates. Your services help us to mitigate our risk, and they are critical to successful completion, successful approval, and disbursements of funds. Financial institutions pay keen attention to risk, and so we work along with you to ensure that we mitigate all the risk that confront us in these projects. It is via the expertise of the quantity surveyor that project finances and contractual relationships and building projects are managed with professionalism. As outlined by my friend Michael in my introduction, I'm a chartered accountant by profession, but I am not competent to assume the role of a QS for the costing and financial management of projects. Consider the recent matter of the Montego Bay welcome sign. In last month's headline of the Jamaica Observer, it reads, "Quantity surveyor gives thumbs up to the 17 million Mobile welcome sign." That was just one simple high-profile example of the role of the QS in certifying value for money. And you will have noted that the public discourse subsided significantly after it was stated that a quantity surveyor has certified that it was value for money. The political side of it, I will leave out. The construction sector provides significant value to our country, and the quantity surveyors are critical to prudent financial decision making on construction projects, both in the public and private sectors. The JIQS has raised several issues in the public sphere, which they consider to be critical to ensuring that the role of quantity surveyors is appropriately recognized and regulated. Professional registration for all quantity surveyors has been fruitlessly pursued by JIQS with successful administrations for more than 30 years. Am I correct, Mr.? The new Building Act, which I have perused, which is expected to be passed in the House this month, does not adequately recognize the role of the quantity surveyor and seeks to relegate your profession to that of a building practitioner, along with artisans such as carpenters, masons, and steel workers. As worded in the Building Act, Jamaica would be the only developing country in the world to take that approach. And I implore you to resist it as strongly as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, I assure you that I support the Institute in its efforts to lobby the government to expedite the compulsory registration of quantity surveyors and to delay the approval of the regulations to the Building Act until the Quantity Surveyors Registration Act is passed by Parliament. I must express my sincere commendation to the experts in the construction cost management. I am confident that quantity surveyors and your umbrella organization, the JIQS, will maintain all efforts to ensure further growth in the sector and remain committed to pursuing policies which encourages and facilitates this goal. As you work with your industry partners to ensure the highest standards and best practices, we look forward to your continued professional support to the financial sector and the competence that you continue to display as you maintain and add value to the industry, to our communities, and to our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Summers. Before we move forward in the agenda, I would just like to pause and take an opportunity to recognize our list of special invited guests. I was actually just waiting for them all to attend, so we could ensure that you're all recognized. Mr. Martin Addington, who is the president of the Jamaican Institute of Planners and the current chairman of the Construction Industry Council. Thank you. Mr. Neil Campbell, who is here on behalf of Kevin Ingram from the National Commercial Bank. Thank you, sir. Ms. Dana Alert, who is attending on behalf of the president of the Incorporated Master Builders Association, General Counsel Humphrey Taylor. Mr. Donald Moore has already been recognized from the National Housing Trust. From the PSOJ, Ms. Tracy Lacroix, who is here on behalf of President Mr. Howard Mitchell, and our fellow allied professional, Mr. David Twaits, President of the Association of Land Economy and Valuation Surveyors. We thank you all for taking the time out to join us this afternoon. So at this point in time, I'm going to introduce Mr. Javon Jacobs to commence the discussion and just ask him to give us a quick update on what has transpired subsequent to our press conference that we held last year. And then after that, I'm going to ask because as I said, it's really on two fronts. On one hand, we have the impact of the Building Act as it currently has been promulgated. And on the other hand, we have the issue of registration for quantity surveyors, which is the other thing that we have been pushing for the past 30-odd years. So I'm going to ask Mr. Jacobs to give us an update with respect to our dialogue regarding the Building Act, and then I'll ask Mr. Robinson to give us an update with respect to our push for registration.
We have indicated before and on several occasions that we have been communicating to the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development as far back as 2016. We have been sending letters, and we have not received any response. neither verbally or in writing. And we have been trying to get the ministry to act for some time. And when we realized that, listen, they're publishing the regulations, and they're anticipating that the regulations will be passed in 2019, the council decided that, listen, we have to go public, which is what we did in November, on November 7, if I remember correctly, 2018. Now, it's interesting to note that since the press conference, we decided that, listen, we're going to send the letters once again to the ministry, indicating to them that we still haven't received the responses to our concerns, particularly as it relates to the classification of quantity surveyors as building practitioners. We received a response the same month in November, and the ministry invited us to a meeting, invited us to 2 meetings in December. We attended the first meeting in December. I have the date in my file here, but we attended the first meeting, which primarily the discussions were on the draft regulations and amendments that are being made, which we contributed significantly to. And it was fruitful, and at the end of that meeting, we successfully agreed, or we made an advancement that, listen, we cannot have our name being listed as a practitioner. It should be struck off. And the committee agreed right there and then to strike our names off that list of practitioners. So currently, as it is now, we are not listed as building practitioners. That is the first step. Now, we were invited to another meeting in December, and this meeting primarily, the focus of this meeting was on advising the local government ministry on the development as it relates to the Quantity Surveyors Registration Act at the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Because what happens, is that we have 2 government ministries, and both are working like silos. One isn't speaking with the next. And what we did was to provide information to the then program director for the building regulations. And he received the information well, and he has given us his commitment that he would provide a position paper that he would present to his permanent secretary, advising them of the progress that we are making and the steps that we're taking to have the Quantity Surveyors Registration Act, which will essentially enable the quantity surveyors to be recognized under the Building Act as professionals, since that is the only way quantity surveyors will be recognized once an act has been passed. So the dialogue is continuing. We hope that we will be having more meetings this year, and not only meetings, but action will be taken, and hopefully soon we'll be seeing the Quantity Surveyors Registration Act coming in full force. That's my latest update for you all.
We're going to invite Council Member Dean Burrows now to offer a vote of thanks for this afternoon's event.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My task today is simply to say thank you to those who have contributed to the successful hosting of this luncheon. I want to start off by thanking our guest speaker, Mr. Samuels. And his presentation has encouraged us to persist throughout. And having been at it for 30 years, no one can say that we have not been patient. But he stressed the need to delay the passage of that regulation to allow us to get our act together and to get the act passed. And I think I would like to take that with it. Along with the guest speaker, I think the moderators piloted in construction terms, would say he has administered the project very well, and his administration has allowed things to flow, and we have gone seamlessly this afternoon. Those who sat on the panel along with myself, I want to thank them. I want especially to thank those who were specially invited guests who came out to support us this afternoon. Mr. Campbell from NCB, Mr. Moore from NHT, the lovely ladies, some of whom from Jamaican nationals, at least one of whom I'm associated with for a very, very long time. And her beauty has not faded in a bit. And it was my pleasure to sit beside her all day. You would have seen me glowing down there. You would have not have understood just why, but we knew what it was. From the IMAJ, we had somebody here, Miss Alert. She indeed is alert. And from the PSOJ, and I think, do we have anybody from the media? I just want to thank those who came out and supported us. I want especially also to thank the Pegasus for enabling us to host this function, which I think was very successful. And all in all, to say we have left something with you, something on your mind that you can mull over and continue to encourage us as you see us go by day to day. And thank you very much for coming, and have a very good afternoon. Thank you.